guys, right? There's a lot of content to learn with IT. There's a lot to learn, a lot to do. So how do we remember all of this stuff, right? How do we commit this stuff to memory, and how does it all work? So we're going to get into that today. It's more of a broad topic of just learning in general and how memory works. But it's basically effort equals memory. And we'll get into that and, good effort, bad effort, all that other stuff, right? But in general, as it takes more effort, you remember it more because your brain prioritizes it automatically more. And you also need good sleep. There's a lot of other stuff to that. If you just watch a how-to video and don't do it with them or don't do it, you're going to remember like 10% of it, if that. You're not going to remember much. Or like a book, right? You remember like 5 points out of a book at most. I don't remember more than that, unless you have to like recite it. There's different kinds of memory. So we'll get into all of that. So why the feeling when you feel like you're learning? Why does that lie? Because what is that feeling? The feeling of learning, right? Well, that's your confidence then increasing about your competence, right? And what are you really being more competent in when you're getting this feeling? Typically, it is you're getting more fit to the problems. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you only know the problems, right, then the problems in the wording and everything, and that's how you know the answer, that's the only way you're going to do it. So you're completely fit to that sentence structure. Now, if it changes, right, if you have that lesser feeling of competency because you're like really struggling with it, you're actually going to remember it more. So you just want to make sure that you don't it's not like super easy, like something passive you don't even have to think about, because it's that thinking, that effort that puts it through. And just because you're familiar with it doesn't mean you're, just because you know the wording. So that's the fit. It's not the fit to the problem, it's fit to the wording of the problem, right? So it's really important to realize that when you change the wording, it can really feel like a big setback, but it's not. There's a lot of things that feel like a setback, but it really is a really important signal that you're learning something when you're struggling. So that's how we'll get into when it feels hard, right? When it feels difficult and we feel like we're struggling, what does that mean? That means you're growing, right? It means you're learning. It can decrease your confidence, right, in yourself. But what increases it? How do we counteract that? We quiz ourselves. We do tests, and then we see those scores, and then we get more confident. We want to not just focus on the text. We want to focus on the stuff behind it. Different strategies like that. And just overall, when you feel like you're struggling, you're probably not. You're supposed to feel like you're struggling, or it would be too easy or too difficult. But you don't want to get too difficult. Again, there's that middle ground. So there are some methods that actually work. Some really important characteristics. So some things to keep in mind are the spacing, right? So that's like doing one today, one tomorrow. And the reason why the spacing works is because of sleep. You remember stuff when you commit it when you sleep. At least that's what the current theories are all about, is you commit it when you sleep. So the more sleep you have, the more you can commit to memory, and the more ability you have there too. So of course that causes time. You can also do retrieval practice, which is that quizzing, and that quizzing could do a lot more because it also gauges where you're at, and you also work those muscles. So you also want to interleave. What do I mean by interleave? I mean not have completely different things with the same thing, but like things that are kind of like it, but aren't exactly it. So how can I identify this as the problem solution? You know what I mean? Don't just categorize it by the solution or the way we're doing it. How do I know when to use that or when not to use that? It's very important to interleave. And, all this stuff just helps you commit it to memory and have a stronger bond there. And that's what we're trying to get at. So the fourth thing with learning, we're trying to remember things, right? We don't just want it in our head. So what do we stop doing, right? So stop, and these are the deceiving things, right? Of just doing the comfy work, and then stop and trying to chase the comfy, just the busy work, and then stop trying to boost your ego, right? And what do I mean by that? Don't do a test that you're gonna pass super easily, right? Make it challenging so you actually learn concepts. If you make it super easy, you're gonna ignore it, and then you might not commit it to memory, and then you might miss it on the test, right? It's very difficult to just do it yourself and just do it in your head. It's not an easy thing to do. And keep it for the next day. That's why cluttering doesn't work. All right, so let's go through some myths. If it feels easy and familiar, I've learned it. Not true. You're probably just familiar with the text and not the stuff behind the text, right? So rereading and highlighting are good study methods. That's not true as well, because you're just getting familiar with the text, not the concepts behind it. You're rereading and you're highlighting the text, not the concepts. If you reanalyze it and you quiz yourself, so cramming doesn't work. Remember, it's that sleep that binds your memory and really commits it. So if you don't have that sleep with that interval, it's going to really hurt your ability. And maybe you'll pass the test tomorrow, but it's a worse chance, and you have worse quality sleep as well. So just watching and not actually doing stuff isn't the best way to learn. Faster, easier learning is better learning. Not true. If it's more convenient, sometimes, even more difficult to read handwriting, you actually learn more from that because of so much time you spend on it, how much effort you spend onto it. And then some people don't just have bad memories. Not typically, right? The bad memory might just be a method. It can also be something genetic. It could be something health related. There are bad memories out there, but it's not everybody. It's not the majority of people. All right, so let's move on to the next segment. What is your learning path? So your plan, right? So get rid of that myth of, the easiest thing. So chase effort, space it out, do all the things I said before, and then as always, write it out so you can help commit that to memory. And writing out stuff like notes and stuff like that, like rewriting them, is a lot better than rereading them, because you have to reconceptualize everything and put in different worms. I mean, if you're just copying and pasting, that's not doing anything. But you're well aware of that if you're just copying and pasting. Anyways, thank you so much. If you have any questions, let me know. My cat has been in here. This time you get to see his butt for some reason. Maybe I should put a sensor bar there or something, but his tail kind of covers all that stuff up anyway. So yeah, once again, the feeling. Are you confident? If you feel like you're confident, you might just be fitting to the wording, so try a different wording. Is it hard? Is it difficult? That means you're learning. That means you're committing it to memory. That means there's less confidence, but you can use quizzes to boost your confidence to see how you really are, right? And you can do the same for when you're feeling super confident to see if that's justified or not. So methods of retrieval, interleaving, and quizzing yourself. So retrieval is quizzing yourself. Interleaving is, multiple things into one, and then spacing, which is different days. And then you want to stop those comfy ego boosting practices, I guess, when you're learning things, and you want to make a plan with effort, with spacing, with all of those misconceptions gone and all of the methods working. And yeah, so creating a plan can really help you commit as well. And if you have any other questions, please